talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about attacking the oil and gas fields.
Yeah, I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. You know, we do. We're independent. We get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
President Trump talking there about the Middle East and the attacks on energy infrastructure, of course. Oil has declined after those comments from President Trump and also those from Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, who also sought to ease concerns, at least from an energy perspective, vowing not to carry out any further strikes on Iranian energy facilities. Let's speak now to Bloomberg's Joumanna Bercetche, who's in Dubai. Joumanna, President Trump and Netanyahu both then trying to de-escalate with that language around not hitting energy infrastructure. How is that being reflected on the ground?
Yeah, Anna, I'm going to rephrase part of that statement to trying to de-escalate part of the war. And specifically, you know, if we go back to the comments that were made by President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister overnight, President Trump still trying to distance himself from those airstrikes that Israel conducted on that Iranian gas field. And then yesterday in the press conference, Israeli Prime Minister did say that they acted alone and that on the U.S.'s request, they will no longer target energy infrastructure. So those are the statements that came through. I should also say that the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas actually put up a post saying that if their infrastructure gets hit one more time, they will show zero restraint, and that the retaliation so far has showcased just a limited part of their firepower. So still warnings coming through from Iran. So yes, an attempt perhaps to de-intensify one part of the war, but at the same time, the strikes and the counterstrikes continue throughout the course of the evening. IDF reporting massive airstrikes throughout essential Tehran. It is the first day of the Eid for most countries in the region. The first day of the new year also for Iran, so a holiday, something to bear in mind too, but that hasn't let up the intensity. Iran have also been retaliating. We're just hearing this morning of another refinery strike that was targeted in Kuwait. We've heard of more interceptions coming through from Saudi Arabia in the eastern part of the country, in the northern part of the country. Over here in Dubai, once again, we had missile alert texts coming to us on our phones, the residents this morning, more interceptions overnight. And I think, you know, from the perspective of everything that has happened over the last 24 hours, there probably has been a little bit too much emphasis on the flow of strikes as opposed to the full stock of what has happened. Qatar Energy putting up that communique in the middle of the night suggesting that 17% of their capacity is now going to be taken off the market. It's going to take them years to recover from some of the damage that was sustained. You have two major gas fields in the UAE that were also taken offline. Continual hits at these refineries or targets at these refineries, which means that many of them have halted production. That accounts to about 2.5 million barrels a day. So in aggregate, there have been multiple strikes still at key energy infrastructure spots in the Middle East. And this is something that the region and the world are going to have to grapple with, not just for days, for as long as the conflict goes on, but even should the conflict or the war end tomorrow, possibly months and even years after that.